It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. I'm B-Ron. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host Yells, and let's just jump right into it. Not waste any time. You have some breaking news for us this morning, yeah?
Oh man, I do. Break the glass. We need to get production on. So there should be some stone cold glass breaking for sometimes when we
Yeah.
break news. That's what I want. I want stone cold glass breaking. B-Ron,
Ba-na-ba-na-na-na.
is it possible that Heartland is going to get loveless? All love is lost in the
Oh,
Heartland. I'm hearing rumors out there that Coach Loveless may be headed to the Heartland, to Zombie Stars, to the Riot House, to the team who lost Coach Skinny, to the
oh,
team who may or may not lose Renzo Bryan and Carter Fields, to the team that has a total rebuild, to the team that has a lot to prove, to the team that needs some structure. Why is this the case though, B-Ron? Before I even talk about that, before we talk about how we got here, B-Ron, what do you make of that? Heartland Zombie Stars possibly seeing Coach Lovelace.
if possible, if true, that's huge. They're right down the road. In some respects, from Lakeshore,
Oh yeah,
and that I imagine is a bit of a rivalry there. So it's almost one of those uh Kevin Durant situations where like you go to the team that beat you and all that sort of thing. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting anyway. Sour taste in his mouth, sort of deal, which we'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah,
yeah. I don't
that's
know.
huge.
Yeah, Coach, or not Coach, excuse me, LaShawn Patterson. I had a moment to talk to him. He said he is hot and heavy on trying to make that happen. Getting Coach Loveless to Heartland. He said,
That'll be
he's
big.
he's extremely disheartened. Look at all these heart puns. I promise they're not intentional, but he's extremely disheartened by the fact that Coach Skinny is gone. He's extremely disheartened by some of the players that have left. But the only thing that makes sense to him, he's had his eyes on Coach Loveless for some time now and hoped that he would come available. And that's the case. How did we get here, though, B-Ron? That is the
Well,
question. How
yeah,
did we
right.
get here?
Well, we got here because last night, I forget what time it was, but last night broke that all of a sudden Brian Loveless got fired from Lakeshore Drive
Abruptly.
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 It was, it was, yeah, instantly, pretty much. And earlier in the day, I had dropped an article, follow the money article about Lakeshore Drive and their new owner, and that sort of thing. And it was within hours of that happening, Coach Loveless was fired from Lakeshore Drive. That's crazy.
It's insane. Major impact I think it's going to have on that squad and its recruiting
Yeah.
and what they have going on. They have some pieces there. You
Mm-hmm.
got AJ Blaylock, Angelo Roman. Not to
Norman
mention
Nation.
three
Yeah.
guys, yeah, Norman Nations,
D'Angelo
D'Angelo
Jordan.
Jordan up and coming, and Zay Gore.
Yep.
We'll get into him a little later. Major implications. But again, I get a little bit of the scoop. Mr. Vance, Rosante Vance, what we're finding out is that he actually has had a hand in ownership this entire time. We were just getting to know him, so some great reporting by you, B-Ron,
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
getting the scoop out there. But
Check out the article if
apparently,
you haven't.
what's that?
I said, check out the article if you
Check it
haven't.
out. Yeah, read up, man. Y'all need to know who the owners are. If you didn't think that you needed to know, today is a perfect example of this topic. Coach
Yep.
Loveless, a very strong-minded dude. From what I know about him, he is very vocal. He is Chicago to his core, and he wanted the best for that squad. And apparently, him and Mr. Vance they didn't see eye to eye on some things. I don't know. I won't get into all the logistics of what it was, but at one point it became fairly public. And I think Mr. Vance's ego came into play. He is the owner of the squad.
Yeah.
He's got his money invested there. His ego came into play, and I'm only assume that he didn't like how it happened publicly, and he had to save face, and he did so quickly,
He did. He did.
very
So
quickly.
Real quick, I want to get your thoughts on that in particular, Yells. You mentioned the ego coming into play and having to make a rash decision, to save face, if you will, because someone did it to you in public. Do you do you agree with that decision?
All right, man. So it's tough for me because I think Coach Lovelace is the perfect coach for Lakeshore Drive. I think he embodies what that team is about, what that city is about.
Yep.
I think it all. I actually know Coach Lovelace. I know him from some years back. I don't know if you recall or not, B-Ron. You and I actually had some interaction with him
Yeah.
on a
Did.
couple of projects back in the day.
We did,
So
absolutely.
I know he's a
Yep.
good guy. I will say what I did see publicly. I don't know exactly how Mr. Vance, how else he could have reacted, and the ego coming into play. I mean, at this level, everyone's a competitor. We learned about the irony is we learned about him earlier in the day yesterday.
Yeah.
That he, excuse me, got a sneeze coming on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
That's how
Bless
you
you.
know this is live, folks. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
we learned that he's a former player himself. He's coached. He's a competitor, man. There's ego when it comes to making the kind of money that someone has if they own a club, if you're competing. Furthermore, I don't know what his options were. Do I think it was hasty? Yes. But I am a man that believes in chain of command big time. I absolutely believe in that. I think respect it needs to go both ways. I think there were probably some missteps from what we heard from Coach Lovelace about how he was approached the very first time. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Right.
But I believe
But
there's
we heard it could have
validity.
been handled better from what we heard.
Right. Unless people are totally delusional, which sometimes people are, but there's generally some sort of truth in people's claims. So there must have been something wrong with that first interaction, and the respect level was not felt by Coach Lovelace. In turn, he did what he did publicly, which I think, that's tough, man. I can never walk up to my boss and slap him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you can get away with
Yeah.
that. So I really don't know what Mr. Vance, what else he could have done. I can't answer your question, B-Ron. I just wish that it would have worked out differently.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I wish it would have worked out differently. You know, I have. If we're gonna call it both ways here. If one person does it, another person, you have to respond the same way accordingly. So if a player does something in public that you don't like, you have to, and the coach does something similar. In my opinion, you gotta call it like it is. Call it down the middle. I don't like how it was handled on either side from neither gentleman involved in the situation. So plain and simple, it's wrong how it all happened and how it became public. It shouldn't have became public. It should have been handled behind closed door between the two of them.
Absolutely.
I do think that it was a hasty decision. At the same time, the minute your ego comes into play is the minute you're not thinking clearly about whatever it is that's going on. And I feel like because of that, Coach Lovelace is going to make uh Mr. Vance pay for his decision to let him go.
Or
Because again,
or he's
go
going to
ahead.
pay, or he's going to pay him. He talked a lot about ownership, and we do know
Yeah.
Coach Lovelace was coaching out of the love of the game. He
Right.
has funds secured. So I hate to cut you off there. I
No,
wanted
you're
to add
fine.
that part as he talked about ownership. So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting on a lot of levels where Coach Lovelace ends up. Maybe we're not calling him Coach Lovelace down the road.
Right.
Maybe we're calling him,
Maybe it's a situation
Mister
where he does
Lovelace.
both, man. I don't know,
Yeah,
because that's the thing, right? People do coach owner sort of things. I don't know how that works very well. Most times it doesn't. But if you could swing it, man, whatever. Maybe it's a coach owner Loveless situation. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't
I
know.
will. I will say this just to cap it off here. I would like to see eventually at some point Coach Loveless return to Lakeshore Drive, be it as a coach again or as a owner coach hybrid, or it's just an owner of the team. One of
Well,
those three, but I think he needs to be there.
they got an owner there. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I
There's
don't know
some deep
either.
pockets. He'd have to make an offer he can't refuse. I think again we're talking about ego at play. So how much
Yeah.
money is enough for you to put your ego aside? I will say this one last thing on the topic though. I know how I operate. So a lot of times things may seem like they're coming out of left field. This seemed like it came out of left field. No one was prepared. There were no rumors, and maybe we don't always
Nope.
have the scoop, right? But
Right.
I know for me, sometimes I can catch people off guard with things, and that just means that maybe the communication was not there. But I say that to say, when things feel like they came out of left field from people that are calculated, maybe this person had something, they had a plan or some thoughts already in their head, and either
Mhm.
communication was not there or communication was exhausted, but they were already at a point anyhow. So
Yeah.
maybe this was
It was
the
just all the
same for
books going
Coach
back, so to
or for
speak.
Mr. Vance for whatever reason. For this
Yeah.
to happen so abruptly, there may have been a seed already there, or maybe he was just truly, he says this is how the ship's going to run at Lakeshore Drive, and we can't have any public undermining. We don't know. I think details are
Right.
still out to come. We'll see if somebody can catch up with Coach Lovelace and get the scoop. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Either way, learning lesson for all involved. Uh, so yeah. Let's move on though, shall we?
yeah,
Coach Assad Drayton of the Season 1, Race 1 champion, Beast of the East, he'll be returning. He'll have a good couple of players returning as well. What are his chances? Do you think they are quote unquote easy chances to repeat for Beast of the East here in Season 2? Now, to be fair, it's not like this team ran the table.
no.
It's not like, they were a top team coming into the race to one last season and, they had an easy they had to work for it. They had to claw and fight to get to that championship game. And when they did, they didn't let that go. They were a 4 seed going into the race to one last season. And went up against the 1 seed Southeast Select. So like they had a tall task ahead of them to do it.
Yeah. Are they the favorites? Here, I'm gonna go backwards. Let's go through a little journey in time real quick before I make my point go in
Yeah.
the opposite direction. Um,
Yeah.
they beat Southeast Select in the race to one by 1 point. The originators, they mopped them. Bad Boys in the race to one, they beat them by 1 point. Prior to that, it took them a while to get on a run. I think they had a streak there, maybe a 3-game streak where they beat up on some of the not so great teams in the league. Prior to that, out of the race to one, they lost to a surging Europe squad at that time. They beat up on Atlantis. I'm just kind of walking through their storyline.
Yeah.
They lost to they lost to Run DMV just before that, and they had lost to Gotham a couple weeks prior to that. They had an up and down season. They pulled it together at the right time. I think maybe Coach Drayton was trying some things out, but they absolutely they for them to have won the race to one, they did not compete all the time at the way that you think a championship team would. Do I think they're the favorites coming back? Yes. Why? They still have my main man, Leonidas. Leonidas
Yes,
right is
sir.
there, 6'3", 210, plays like he's 6'10", 250. Monster. I love his game. It's hard to match that kind of energy in the backcourt. And he can play anywhere from the 3 to the 4, to the 2 to the 4. Kasim Porter, I think we've all talked about him. Just because we talk about different people
Yeah.
daily doesn't mean we've forgotten about his skill set. One of the best passers out there, can score. I think he makes a huge jump. Kasim Porter does this season. And then before I get to my main man in the middle, you have two absolute stalwarts on defense. Isaiah James he impacted the game in a major way in that second half of the season.
Absolutely.
Once he was inserted in the game, the whole dynamic of the game changed, and
Yeah.
that was on the perimeter. If you made it past that perimeter and made it through the hell that he created on the perimeter, JoJo Kearney, he had game-saving blocks against Bad Boy. Let's not
Yes.
forget that. He
Yes.
had game-saving blocks against Southeast Select at moments, too. He was an absolute force in the middle. So those two guys are still there. And what do we know? Defense anchors championship teams, in my opinion. And then lastly, there's no Fareed Redmond. right? Fareed Redmond's
Nope,
gone. He was a
gone.
clutch bucket and a half last season. So I think that's where BC East is going to be hurting. Who's going to come in and provide that kind of offense, and more important, the clutch buckets. But the offensive load, I think Coach Drayton always wanted to run this offense through Levin Cutler. Levin Cutler is quite a crafty dude in the middle. He showed flashes, but all those flashes he had to share the ball with Fareed
Yeah,
Redmond and a few other people. I think it's him and Kasim Show. He may bring in and recruit somebody else that can score and wait their turn for the following season. I think they're the favorites because I think they bring back the supporting cast from last year that was solidified, consistent, and got the job done. There's a couple other teams that are bringing back the same supporting cast, but those teams didn't make it all the way to the championship with that same consistent cast. So yeah, Bisa East is the number
the
one favorite to repeat in my
yes,
opinion.
easy favorite. The returning 5 players. I believe 4 of
Five
them.
significant players
Right. Yes,
that
5
play their
significant players.
roles.
4 of them, I believe, Cutler, Isaiah, Kearney, and Porter were all starters at one point or
Yep.
throughout the season various times. I don't think Wright ever started a game for them, but that doesn't matter. He could start the season for them
Yeah.
if they really want him to do it.
Plug and
So,
play.
yep, exactly.
You
So,
can literally, I can look at this lineup right now and call those 5 the starters comfortably.
yeah,
I'm sure
right,
there's some
right,
other
yeah,
things that
same
happen, but
thing.
that's the starting lineup right there.
Same thing. That's what I'm thinking. And when you already have a team like that that's kind of set up for you on just those 5 players alone, all you have to do is put other pieces in place around them and let those kids go. You know what you have with those players. Build around them, and I think everything will fall into place for them. So yes, I think that they are the easy favorites to win the championship again, race to 1 this
Yeah.
coming season.
And those players also, he's gotten them to buy in. They have all been willing to know their roles and shut their mouth. Okay, maybe not shut their mouths, but they know their roles and they play them, right? They've been
Sure.
down with that, and he's been
Yep.
maximizing. So,
Yep.
absolutely, my favorites there, B-Ron.
Absolutely. We've
Absolutely
been
my
going a
favorites.
little long here, though. So Curtis London has committed to Boise State. I like that move.
Well, you
I say
sound
that.
hesitant.
Yeah, no, it wasn't where I was expecting him to go, though.
So you had expectations of him landing where?
I don't have his schools offhand, but I wasn't expecting Boise State. I'll just say that much. If I can find his school list, then because I'm not prepared this morning, my apologies. I was rushing to get notes together.
Boo.
But
Boo.
once I get those for you, I gotcha. Can give you a better thought
Well,
process. But
look, it doesn't matter. He landed at Boise State, right?
yep, yep, doesn't matter exactly.
Congrats to the young man. He can shoot. I think he was a victim of playing on that Bay Area Breakers club. That I give him a lot of flack, man. I don't, I'm not trying to be hard on him, but I just think they had too much talent. If you run down that list of players, where was he supposed to play? We know in the Ground Zero season, it was Caden Shipp, Curtis London. I forget what the tall cat they had on the team. His name started with the C as well. And they called themselves 3C, and they were ready to run the show and run the floor, run the team in season 1, and they never got an opportunity to because so much talent came in. But Curtis London, just because he only scored 4 points a game, Boise State knows what he's capable of. He can shoot, he can defend. He is a prototypical 3 and D. He's already 6'5", 200 pounds. They're getting somebody that's going to be a major piece.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to see him shine at Boise State when he gets a chance. Exactly. Congratulations, young man. Keep that dream going, man. Zay Gore, is he the best facilitator in SimWorld Prep?
Yep.
Hands
Next.
down.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you seen the tape on this kid? It's like he has eyes on the back of his head. But here's the thing: like kids want to see the flashy pass. B-Ron, he makes the right pass.
Yeah, he's an extremely talented passer, and that's a gift to have at this young age too. And that's gonna take him very far, very far.
The willingness.
Yeah, because there's a lot of players who want to get their own shots, and that's fine. But you have to be willing to let someone else you carry some of that too. And you have a guy like Zay Gore on your team who's gonna get you the ball in the right spot. You always need a player like that on your team. always one you want to have.
I don't want to cause any problems. I just want to point two things out. He averaged 3.5 assists a game in just 17 minutes playing off the bench last season. I think he started a couple of games. Coach Lovelace is no longer at Lakeshore Drive. Zay Gore is from Dallas. I don't know, man. I don't want to start nothing.
Okay.
I don't mind starting nothing, but I don't want to start nothing.
But you don't want to. I understand. Look, we can leave that there. Let's wrap this thing on up, though, and bring it home, shall we? I saw a discussion yesterday about Marwa Dawn and Arthur Lattimore we're working out together, that kind of thing. And it got me thinking, who would be a returning player plus a new player that could duo together that you would like to see this season?
I've had this one on my mind. Wonder if it happens. For all the trouble and grief that I give Bay Area Breakers for loading up on talent and then diminishing their numbers, I would really like to see Trey Hyman and Jamie Ramos. I think their games fit very well together at the front court, and that's a lot of size. Trey Hyman's returning. We know what he's going to do. Jamie Ramos, I think he'd be willing to play his role. There'd be a lot of spacing on the court. He could do a lot of different things. Jamie Ramos, Trey Hyman, at the same damn time. If y'all know that song.
I like that. I like that one a lot. I really do.
Who you got?
Let's see. Man, there's so many options here for players who I'd like to see. But
I got your back. If you need some help, I got another one for you.
Yeah, give me another one.
Let's head out to the far east. Kai Newby, the king of the step back, with Sung Chung Gu, the king of cramming on their damn faces. Oh my God, yes, that would be a scary backcourt. Kai Newby and Sung Chung Gu, finish him.
Okay, all right, man. Give me Corey Yams.
Okay.
And I know there was talk about DJ Davis possibly going to Best Coast on a verbal commit. But hear me for a second. And let's say he switches. Let's say he decides to go to Showtime instead.
Okay.
I think that'd be fun.
I think that would be amazing.
You got we've seen DJ Davis shoot the ball. We know he can shoot.
Lights out.
And you got Corey Yams on the inside. That in and out style of play. That would be so fun. That'd be so fun. I love to see.
I'm not gonna argue. That's a good call. I'm a huge DJ Davis fan. Huge DJ Davis.
Really like his game, and I'm hoping to see. If he does end up in Best Coast, fine. Many a word. Love to see that, but maybe that's not. That's what I like to see too. Maybe him and Corey
I get one more before we get out of here, just because I want to make sure we show up north in that 6'6". I want to show him some love.
Yeah.
A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez out there, and this guy that can shoot the lights out, Justin Shooter McGavin. Oh, I want to see it. I can't wait to see it. I'm marking that one in the books. McGavin, carry your behind up north. Stay home. That's a deadly duo.
Love to see it, man. We are also a deadly duo here, but it's time for us to go. We've enjoyed being here with you all this morning. Appreciate y'all hanging around and listening as always. We appreciate it for real. But we gotta go. Yells.
Now this time, you got it, man.
You do it this time? All right, no problem. All right, everybody. You know what it is. Just because SimWorld is in the off season does not mean that you cannot still, as always, see the game, be the game. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah.